What a day. Wow, 3 words that it sums up just what an incredible day it was for the world of retail. I'd gone into work this morning thinking it would be all about snow. The beast from the east had been around for several days, but today it unleashed its full power on the UK and left much of the country under a thick layer of snow. In fact, the Met Office issued a red warning, which is very rare these days for Scotland. But you know what? I'm not doing these videos for the weather. I'm doing these videos on retail and the royal family. You can refer to my first video, which explains what I'm doing, who I am, why I'm doing this, etc., etc. But cutting to the chase, big news in the world of retail today. 4 big high street names collapsed, all in just 1 hour, 60 minutes. 4 names announced they were in dire straits, and in that 1 hour, 5,000 jobs were plunged into risk. 300 stores had the potential, still have the potential of closing. A very dark day indeed for the British High Street. So how did it all start? Well, this morning it was expected Toys R Us, the big children's toys giant of the UK, would announce that it has inevitably collapsed. It was due to pay a huge tax bill on Tuesday. That day came and went, no news. Then I was revealed to by a source close to the store that they would be announcing today, Wednesday, they would be appointing administrators, and they did. They announced this morning they had appointed Moorfields as the administrators. They are the guys who oversaw the administration of DVD rental chain Blockbuster, who was another big brand that left the high street several years back. The news wasn't much of a shock. They'd initially saved themselves in December through what is called a company voluntary arrangement. Now, this effectively puts all debts on hold, and in that time scale, they are allowed time to find a buyer to save it, to come up with a restructuring plan. And initially, they were going to close 26 stores across the UK, but they had to pay the tax bill yesterday. Didn't have the money to, or just knew it wouldn't make sense to pay the bill, and so inevitably they have appointed administrators. They are collapsing. Toys R Us will almost definitely be a thing of the past on the British High Street. Now, I quote, Moorfields, the administrators, will be winding down the store portfolio of Toys R Us. So I assume that means they will be closing most, if not all, the Toys R Us stores in the UK. That's 106 stores. So, yeah, very sad news. Toys R Us is a huge staple of our high street. All of us as adults know what an incredible place that is for children to walk into. This huge, giant warehouse of toys. It's every child's dream. And to know that it's a thing of the past is desperately sad. But if that wasn't bad enough, it was followed by, literally minutes later, followed by the shock news. Well, I say shock, it was in terms of how quickly they announced it, how soon they announced it after Toys R Us, but not a shock in regards to them actually doing it, because it was in the pipeline for several months. Maplin, the electronics giant, announced several moments later that they were going into administration, that its 200 stores across the UK were at risk. Its 2,500 jobs were also at risk. The Maplin have said they will continue, as Toys R Us have said as well, they will continue trading whilst the administrators are drafted in to oversee selling off assets, etc. But yes, Maplin also announced it was going into administration. But then, bizarrely, like a domino effect, another big name stepped forward with bad news. This time it wasn't as such a high street retailer, it was a huge restaurant chain, Prezzo. The Italian restaurant chain announced a third of its 300 stores in the UK would be closing. That's 100 stores. And that is a plan that's coming under, again, it's called a company voluntary arrangement. Now, this CVA, again, it allows them to put debts on hold and look for a buyer. Toys R Us did this, couldn't find a buyer. Maplin did this, talks with a potential buyer, I hear broke down at the 11th hour. And so Prezzo are doing the same thing. They're trying to find a buyer. Now, it seems the trend of late is that you sign this company voluntary agreement, and it doesn't turn out the way they'd hoped. Eventually, you end up admitting defeat and asking administrators to come in, but it's not definite. You can't be too certain. Maybe a buyer will step in and save Prezzo. Who knows? But as it stands, they have signed the CVA. 100 stores of its 300 will be closing. You assume there will be jobs lost as a result. Now, Toys R Us, Maplin and Prezzo, surely it ends there. No. I'll tell you what a day. Because moments later it emerged that Chimichanga, which is a Tex-Mex restaurant in the UK, which is owned by Prezzo, which is why this news of this came about. Because of Prezzo's signing of the CVA, that meant that any firm owned by Prezzo would also, you'd assume, would come under that CVA. And Chimichanga is that. They will be, as part of the CVA, Chimichanga will be closing every single branch in the UK. That's 33 branches. So that's another loss for the restaurant industry in the UK. So to summarise, Toys R Us, 3,200 jobs, 106 stores at risk. Maplin, 2,500 jobs, 200 stores at risk. Prezzo, an Italian restaurant chain which is seen in most towns and cities across the UK, 100 stores, restaurants will be closing. And Chimichanga, finally, 33 branches are due to close. It's been a devastating day for the British High Street. And you may ask the question, why did they all decide to announce this today? Why in that same hour? Well, this is my version. This is my version of events, my opinion on all this. Today, we're at the end of February. Bills are owed. Wages need to be paid. It's that time of month when, companies are to be spending money, possibly ordering stock as well. It's that time of month when they just get all the payments sorted out. So it makes sense that if you are in big financial trouble and you're on the verge of collapsing, February and March tends to be a quiet time of year for retailers. We've just passed that Christmas stage and the January sales. Now, nothing much is happening. The weather is really bad. That's had an impact also on retailers. So it's probably the best time of year to collapse, which is a bizarre way of saying it, but it is. It's the best time of year to fold. So that's partly why I think that's partly why they have announced the closures today. Oh, but why in 1 hour? Why did, after Toys R Us, Maplin, Prezzo and Chimichanga announced they were in trouble? Well, it makes sense. If you are a retailer that doesn't want the whole world to know that you are in trouble, that you're going into administration, what better way than to hide under the shadow of one of the biggest retailers out there announcing that they've collapsed? Why not just whisper it to the press and let them know, oh, by the way, we're closing too. We're in trouble too. That's a great way for those retailers to carry on trading for the foreseeable months and hope that maybe many people haven't actually seen this news because they're so washed over by the Toys R Us news that they've got into administration. So I think it's just a clever way, a tactical way of staying in Toys R Us's shadow, making sure that not everyone hears about it, that it's more about Toys R Us. Let them have a limelight. We'll just whisper that we're in trouble, but hope that more people will still keep coming to use our restaurants, buy our products. That's my version. It's not definitely why, it's just my opinion. So that's what's happened today. A very sad day for the news of retail. It's been a heartbreaking few months, in fact few years for the British High Street. You know, it's been on a downhill spiral for quite a long time now, and this is definitely not the end. It's only going to continue going downhill. It's a sad reality that people are buying online. The pound is weak. Consumers haven't got confidence in spending their money on the high street, and it's just not ever going to happen now. It's a case of the inevitable, and it's just how long can you survive? That's the question now. Several other stores are rumoured to be planning closures. Byron, the hamburger chain, they not long ago announced they'd signed a CVA to put all debts on hold and look for a buyer. New Look is apparently set to close 60 stores, as it also looks into signing a CVA. A CVA is a massive thing at the moment in the retail world. It's basically, in my mind, just their way of saying, right, we're going to go into administration, but for now, we'll sign this just to, hold things, just to slow things down slightly so we can get our heads around it and then start looking into how we're going to do all this. That's my view of it. But, you'll see a lot of stories in the coming weeks and months of companies signing CVAs and closing stores. And it's a sad reality of our high street. So I hope that's helped you all gauge an understanding of what's happened today. And if you've got any questions at all, please do comment below and I will try my best to answer them. Please like and subscribe our videos, and hopefully you'll look forward to seeing more of my videos in future. I'll be doing plenty more retail and royal family related vlogs from now on. And if you want to get a better idea of why I'm doing this, what I'm doing, etc., like I said, refer to my first video and that explains, hopefully, everything. But again, any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.